These are your ancestors. This is a member of your extended family here, fighting to build Western civilization, laying down their life to pave the way for what we have today, our liberties and our freedoms, the rational society that we have today, the civilization we have today, was because of these people. They laid their life down for you. This is why you need to be willing to lay your job down for them. They sacrificed their lives so that we could have this gift of America. America was not a gift for our ancestors. America was something that had to be built by our ancestors. They came here to nothing but, soil and trees and a flock of natives swinging bows and arrows at them. And our ancestors had to fight against all odds after coming across this treacherous journey across the Atlantic Ocean to build an entire civilization. It was not a gift. It was something that they had to build through their labor. And from what they built, they gave us that blessing. They have blessed us with this inheritance. And we, because of that, have an obligation to continue that gift on and continue the inheritance down to our children. They were willing to die, literally die, lay their life down and sacrifice it all so that you could have the gifts that you have today. But yet, I see so much in the right wing, zero organization because of paranoia about feds. I see so much demoralization because people don't want to lose their job. People don't want to get made fun of. People don't want to get kicked out of school. You have to make sacrifices today. The sacrifices that are necessary today are just as necessary as the sacrifices that your ancestors made. The sacrifices that you need to make today are so important. And your life is no more valuable than the life of your ancestors. You're not any more special than your great-great-great-grandfather. His life was just as valuable as yours, but yet he was willing to lay it down, not only give up his job, not only give up his education, not only give up family members and friends and social standards, but he gave up all of this plus his very life so that he could build this nation for you. What are you doing for your children? When your children look at you and say, Dad, what did you do for the nation? What did you do for me? What did you do for our people? What are you going to say? I sat around and did nothing, and I worked my 9-to-5 job for my Microsoft employer, and then I got old and died. Is that going to be your legacy? Nothing great has ever been done in history without sacrifice, boys. We need the ultimate fanaticism. We need fanatics in our movement, people who are willing to lay down their life, people who are willing to sacrifice it all. Think of any revolution in all of history. Think of, good or bad regimes, right? Think of any regime. Think of Bolsheviks, okay? Joseph Stalin used to rob banks for his party, okay? The Bolsheviks were just this tiny little group of like a few people when Joseph Stalin got involved. He was robbing banks. Could you imagine, really imagine this, going into a bank today with a gun and robbing it? Today, you would never do it, right? And you shouldn't. I'm not saying rob a bank, but that was the dedication he had. He was like, I might go to prison for the rest of my life. I might get shot by someone who's like, the guy who runs the bank or their security. I might get executed because of what I'm doing. I might be killed or imprisoned because of my association with communists. I'm willing to do it because I believe in the cause. Adolf Hitler led a march on the government with 100 of his people. He got shot and could have died. 16 people did die during that march. Okay? This is the type of fanaticism you need to win over a nation. The type of fanaticism that we see in the right wing today, I look at these conservatives, I look at some of these, and I won't name any names, but, these kind of minor e-celebs, and I'm like, you guys have nothing. You're not willing to even give up your job. You would never, ever be willing to sacrifice your life, whether that means going to prison or whether that means actually, dying, which I don't think is realistically going to happen, but you need to be in the mindset where you are such a fanatic that you are willing to die for your nation. This is why it's often, again, you look at, some regimes in past history that have taken control of countries, whether that be Mussolini, whether that be Francisco Franco, whether that be Adolf Hitler. All of these men had served in the military. They had already said, I'm willing to die for my nation. I am willing to get shot in the face and die and never have a family to save my nation, to help my nation. And then, they go into the political sphere, and all of a sudden, guess what? They carry that fanaticism over. They recruit people who used to be in their, military unit, or who have the same attitude and belief system. What e-celebs am I talking? Just minor ones. No one you guys would probably know, but just think of any e-celeb. Do you really think that they're willing to die? I'm sure some of them are. I don't want to take it away from all of them, but how many of them are, if they were told you're going to be in jail for the next few years, or you can rat out this person and that person? I think the vast majority would take the plea deal. I think that we're far too pampered, and I think a lot of people are in this because they get roped into this idea like, oh yeah, I don't like progressivism. There's only two genders, and maybe on the far right, it's like, oh, I don't like race mixing. It's okay to be white. And they kind of come in with these basic concepts, but they don't realize, like, no, we're really fighting an uphill battle. Like, people want us dead. Like, there's people out there who do not want us alive. They want us exterminated, and you need to be willing to face these people head on. And if they have power over you in any situation, you need to be willing to take that bullet, so to speak. You need that fanaticism. I'd like to think I would. I'm not worried about going to prison. I'll write a book. I shouldn't say I'm not worried. I don't want to, obviously. But, like I said, you need this fanaticism to save your nation. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what I want or don't want. What we need is a more Christian America. What we need is a more traditional America. We need to go back to what we once were. And this requires radical change. You're not able to have radical change done in America without fanaticism in any country. Like I said, you need to be like Joseph Stalin and be willing to rob banks. Don't rob a bank. Don't do that. But you need to have that mentality of like, no, I'm willing to go to jail for the rest of my life for this movement. You need to have that mentality of the DAP, where it's like, we're marching on the Capitol. 16 of them died. 16 got shot and killed when the Nazi Party began. And there was only like 30 members. Could you imagine? There's like 30 of us, okay? There's 30 of us. Could you imagine 30 of us going down and marching on like, some politician's home and 16 of us dying? Like, that would be, imagine the sacrifice. Imagine the motivation you would have to be willing to do that. But guess what? It was those people who ultimately controlled the entire nation of Germany, just years later. That's the fanaticism we need. There's very, very little leadership in the right wing. There is no leadership development in the right wing. No one is developing leaders in the right wing. This is something that I want to do.